Oh, the good life. In Italy, we call it la bella vita, the chilled appreciation for the finest and most expensive things in life. But have you ever stopped asking yourself, what is the real price of all these toys? And is it worth it? Today we're gonna discuss why it might be better to consider a more humble lifestyle, and why flashy things might not be the solution for happiness, and instead being counterproductive. Hi guys, my name is Giuseppe and I'm a finance graduate, former financial analyst and money nerd. And today I would like to share my experience into the importance of having a humble lifestyle, despite making money and working hard. Since I value your time, you can find in the description a one-pager of the main lessons of this video. So without further ado, let's get started. My experience. I come from a blue-collar entrepreneurial family. My dad is a baker that owns his own business in the south of Italy, meaning that I am an Italian that literally comes from bread and pizza. So yeah, kind of a stereotype. But hear me out. Since my dad always needed help in his business, I started working very young, before it was even legally allowed. If I remember well, I probably started working during the summers at like 10 years old. And for reference, in Italy the legal age to work is 16. But I'm not here to complain about this, I'm very grateful for my upbringing. Being a working kid, I was always the cool kid in the crew with money in his pockets. Because guys, at the age of 10, 20 years ago, before all this inflation, having 20 euros in your pockets meant having the goddammit world in your hands. And I was also a very weird kid, growing up mainly through video games and a very few friends from school. So what happened here? Well, I started spending a lot of the money I had in everything I wanted, trying to fill that emptiness and that boredom, including video games, trading card games, flashy toys or whatever. This was pre-smartphone era. So having a Nokia 3310 meant that you were very cool in your class, although I didn't have a phone plan at the time. In this environment of money plus social anxiety, I was buying more and more stuff, feeling like I was on a treadmill every time, trying to keep myself distracted from the simple fact that I was alone most of the time. And there I learned that stuff was not going to make me happy. Yeah, obviously poverty would have been even worse. And with age things get more complicated, since nowadays many people struggle even just to survive. And I get it, money will solve many problems in many lives. But I think that my upbringing put me in the very privileged position of understanding this very early in life. And that is why I never had a thing for big houses, flashy cars or whatever. I just can say that I got bored about stuff very soon in life. And that is one of the reasons why I chose to have a very modest lifestyle despite working hard. You might not be in that position yet and thinking that having those flashy toys might be the solution to your problems. It's probably not. Most likely it's gonna cause more problems instead. But I get it, you have to have your arc to reach this consciousness. It makes you feel weird when dealing with people. Another experience that forged myself around money was when I started making them. During COVID, I was working into a brokerage job. And all of a sudden, in 3 months, I've been able to source many important transactions, thanks to a combination of good timing and hustle. Imagine being a broke student and all of a sudden you get 6 figures of cash. Well, in that period I understood another thing around money. You might work very hard to get it, but not everyone in your circle has the same opinion on it. Reality is that many people, due to the simple fact that they are content with the life they have, are not so centered and driven around money. And that is fine. Money is not everything in life, I really mean it. After covering your financial needs, money is just a big video game that we all play, where the scoreboard is your bank account. The problem is that if your life revolves around money and your friend's life does not, you will simply find yourself out of place. So I think it's very important to keep a modest lifestyle and understand that not every conversation has to be centered around money. Appreciate and respect the diversity of the interests of the people around you. Well, there are people that I lost through time because they were not doing anything with their lives. Some others were ambitious, but mainly not around money. Imagine living flashy and bragging about what you make in front of them. It's just a nice ticket to feel socially awkward and out of place. And be always ready to give back to the others. If any of your friends want to make more, be the first one to help. The perception of money, a building tool. Another reason why I have a modest lifestyle is the mind shift I had when I started understanding the difference between an asset and a liability. To make it short, an income-producing asset is something that puts money in your pockets, such as stocks or real estate, that increase in value over time. Instead, a liability is something that pulls money out of your pockets. For example, a car that you bought with a loan. In this case, you're gonna pay interest and the value of the car is gonna decrease over time. So when you understand this concept, you also understand that essentially money are a building tool that you can allocate in a variety of assets that the world has to offer. The most granular asset is probably stocks, since nowadays you can buy fractional shares for as low as €1. And since stocks yield about 7% after inflation per year, this creates an opportunity cost whenever you buy something. So whenever you splurge money on that extra expensive design shirt, or wherever you find momentarily joy into, you always have to think that you are missing on the potential of that return instead. And this shifts your mind around money, because you can always invest into a better future instead of a momentarily happiness. So pick your poison. It is a nice way to get targeted from burglars and people around you. Well, simply put, showing off money is the easiest way to get targeted by thieves or burglars. Fancy car parked outside? Cool, it disappears. Or maybe you will find it tough, as it is usual where I'm from. Wearing a nice and expensive watch in a big city? A knife pointed at you and you have to give away the watch. There are many ways in which things can go wrong when showing expensive stuff. And imagine if you stretched your finances to fit those into your budget. And that is why spending too much money is simply a spiral of bad decisions through which you will never exit. You start stretching your income for that fancy car or that house that is bigger than you need. And without even realizing, you start having too much debt and too many interests to pay every month. You lose the ability to save and invest. And much of this stuff might be worth pennies over dollar in a matter of few years. Worth it? Well, it depends on what you value. I personally value more the tranquility to know that I can face any kind of unexpected expense. And I do not have to worry about money. I think that overall, after a certain threshold, if you're okay with a certain lifestyle, you simply work for the sake of working and for the good impact that you can have on the world. Since you know you're not going to reward yourself with more material benefits. And this means that you can work on the projects that you want and realize the impact you want to have on the world, instead of having to slave into something you do not believe into. And so, having a low expense lifestyle can mean that you can take more risk, since it doesn't take a fortune to stay afloat. It improves your mental health. Keep up with the Joneses is a phrase that is over 100 years old and was coined in 1913. And simply mean being worried about your standard of living compared to the others around you. Now, before the social media era, you only had to keep up with the Joneses. Now with Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat and whatever, you have to keep up with the Joneses, with the Smith, with the Millers, with the Browns and all the other families you can think about. Social media have exacerbated this natural human tendency, and several studies linked the abuse of Facebook and Instagram to depression and despite for your own condition. But you can escape this simply by accepting a more humble lifestyle, realizing that many of the lies depicted on social media are just the tip of the iceberg, and that everyone in life is struggling, but you decide not to make money one of your struggles and avoid following the latest trend. It improves your wealth. Finally, having a modest lifestyle improves your wealth. Well, if you consider your wealth as a ratio between your income and your expenses, it's very easy. Simply put, if you need 2,000 euros per month to stay afloat, but you make 3,000 euros, your expenses are covered by a ratio of 1.5. But if you can cut 500 euros from your expenses at 1,500, this ratio increases to 2, giving you more runway and less worries, putting you in the comfortable position of saving every month, enough to survive another month without working. Or even better, invest those money in something actually productive. So guys, here you have it. My reasons for having a modest lifestyle, despite working hard and increasing my income. If you find this video useful, please leave a like and subscribe, and you might also be interested in understanding how I will invest my first 1,000 euro. And you can find it here. Bye!